Good morning. Welcome aboard. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. Joy to the world. Saturday Fantasy Baseball. Now, we started a little bit early because we wait for the sound to come through the chat room and everybody to file on in. You can always join us in the chat room. Lenny Melnick, fantasysports.com/live. Every day of the week, 9 a.m. We do not miss days. We podcast 365 days a year. We've been doing that for the last 15 years. And Lenny was telling me that he didn't want to do a podcast on Christmas Day. And I said, Bull Dinky and Poppycock. We will be doing a podcast on Christmas Day, just like we do every other day. It probably won't be very long. And it probably won't be very crowded in the chat room. We understand people have things to do, but every year there's a couple people that still are able to join us, and we appreciate those people, and so that's the way it goes. Now we're just waiting for sound to come through the chat room, and then we're going to get going. We have lots of stuff to talk about today, and I will say this, fantasy baseball has officially started. I'll tell you why in a minute, as soon as we get chat. All our friends in the chat room, we will say hi to you, and absolutely, we love it. There's always like 5 people here right before 9, and then at 9 o'clock, people must have their alarm clock set, because it certainly is filling up, and we appreciate it, and we like it. Now, if we could get some sound, that would be great, but in the meantime, I already told you about Monday through Monday, every day of the week, 365 days a year, we talk baseball at 9 a.m. at our website, in the live chat room where you can interact, ask questions, debate players, talk about draft, ADP, talk about auction values, and blah, blah. Everything. But on Wednesday nights, you can also find another show at 7:30 p.m. It's King Hap and the Happy Hour Social Club. Most of the chat people are over there in Twitch. You can find them at Happy Hour SC on Twitch. It's 7:30 Wednesday nights and 8 o'clock on Thursday nights. And the sound is good. Did you tell everybody, Leonard?
Yep,
no.
I'm doing it now.
Okay, here we go. Chris Kringle in the house. That must be Chris Northrup. Great to see you, Chris. We're going to talk some Yankees today. Here's the deal. Fantasy baseball has officially started, and I say that because always, every year, in the same week, we get the baseball forecaster in the mail. And then a couple days later, we get the RotoWire updated projections, ADP, everything is going. So here's the deal. Fantasy Baseball 2024 has officially kicked off, and that is the thing. We're going to be, when we talk about players now, we will talk about their ADP, and we will compare them to other players. We will talk about their projections, their profiles, and everything. So thank you to Ron Chandler, Baseball HQ, and Jeff Erickson, and the whole RotoWire crew for making our holidays great again. Okay? Big Al, great to see you. Boston Paul, out shopping today. Good grief. Okay? I had to go to the grocery store yesterday, and I did not like it, but I figure it like this. I used to wait till the last day to do my Christmas shopping. I will not do that anymore. We shop early in this house. We celebrate Hanukkah, then we celebrate Christmas. So good luck out there today, Boston Paul. Chris and Debbie Gallo, great to see you. Danny and Penny Fuller. Eddie and Teresa Heckman. J.R. Matz. Moose, Mikey, Danny. I wish I knew your wife's name. She should be included. I mean, she is the mother, which means she's the woman behind the man. James K. Leonard Donaldson. Rotorius. King Turd. Timothy My Hooker. Who else? Tommy Johnson. And a cast of thousands. Let's get on it. Who else, Leonard? Did I miss someone?
That's it.
Where's Laura?
Not here yet.
Okay.
Donaldson is here.
Love to see it. Bobby K was here a little while ago, and I was going to make a comment about Bobby K and Crystal, Shay, and Noah. Great family down in Tennessee. Used to live here on Staten Island. Big Mets fans, as you could tell by their daughter's name, Shay. Anyway, here we go. Bob Nightingale, who I lost a lot of respect for over the past couple years because he is one of the vultures who refuses to vote people into the Hall of Fame based on their stats. He makes up things about Curt Schilling which are not true, such that he's a racist and he's this. It's such a lie and it's just disgraceful. But I do have a tidbit from Bob Nightingale because one thing I can't deny, Bob Nightingale does have insider contacts, insider ability, all right? So we're not going to disregard him completely, even though he's a nasty human being, in my opinion. He says that according to MLB GMs, now free agency can start after the signings of Ohtani and Yamamoto to $1 billion worth of contracts. Yet realistically, of course, we anticipate that the market will be relatively quiet until after the holidays. Boy, oh boy. Couple things here. Number one, follow me on Twitter. I'm active there now. It's X, okay? It used to be a whole pile of trash. Now it is a wonderful free speech platform, and you can follow me at RotoLady. I'm one follower away from 1,400, so let's freaking go on X. Also, there's tons of opinions about this Dodgers thing, and we're going to go through the contract, Ohtani's contract. There's a couple of great articles at The Athletic that I looked through, and I grabbed some numbers here and there. Jim Bowden is the only insider who isn't soy-based, and that is absolutely true. Also, Merry Christmas to all the free agents awaiting their big paydays. That's from Chris Gallo. J.R. Matt's he sent his kids to grandma's last night, and the house is very quiet today. You don't know what to do with yourself, right?
Scroll up, he made a trade.
Oh, J.R. Matt's made 2 trades yesterday. He got Trey Turner, Corbin Burns. I forget how to say Candelario's first name. And he traded away Mookie, Hunter Goodman, Robert Gasser, and he also got Will Benson for Abner Abreu and Johan Rojas, and his wife's name is Kate, and I will not forget that. All right, she deserves some credit too, okay? For sure. I can't, first of all, to be honest with you, I don't even know a couple of these guys on here, so, I mean, not to make myself look like an idiot, but that's the truth of it, and what the heck else if you don't have honesty, right? Can't know everybody.
Dad's a premier.
Dad's a premier. Welcome aboard. Merry Christmas. Yeah, we hope Grandma didn't get run over by a reindeer. That's pretty funny. All right. There's tons of talk on X, on Facebook, everywhere you go. Social media is pouring with talk about the Dodgers. Some like it, some hate it. Of course, if you're not a Dodgers fan, you have to be feeling a little left out at this moment. And I understand your instinct to just be like, oh, the Dodgers ruined baseball. But clearly they didn't, because there's so many people talking about baseball. Also, I copied and pasted a couple of these tweets that I think are worth discussion for sure, that I find. This first one comes from Travis, and he says, the biggest tragedy of MLB finances isn't the lack of a salary cap. It's that teams like the Dodgers have to share 48% of their revenue with these bum-ass billionaire owners that aren't even pretending to try to field a competitive team. So dog on the Dodgers as much as you want, but they're paying for other owners who refuse to spend money. I agree with Travis on that one. Jim Bowden, speaking of, he says, don't be surprised if the Dodgers make a trade for Emmanuel Clase. Also, don't be surprised if the Dodgers, I shouldn't say also, I should say or, don't be surprised if the Dodgers sign Hader. They're going to get a closer, and it's going to be a good one. So prepare your little booties, okay, for the Dodgers to continue making the moves. They also still have their, yes, they spent $1 billion on 2 Japanese players, but their yearly payroll is still lower than the Mets. The Dodgers, now this is from Codify Baseball, who I also recommend you follow. So while you're going to X to follow me at RotoLady, go ahead and follow Codify Baseball. They have some great polls, and you know, one of the best things is not always the actual post. It's the comments in the post. It's the replies, and it's the discussion that happens, and Codify Baseball is great. Good morning to Merrill. The poll says the Los Angeles Dodgers have averaged 103 regular season wins per year over the last 6 unabbreviated MLB seasons. With the addition of Ohtani and Yamamoto and Glasnow and others, how many regular seasons will they win this year? Do you think, thank you Tom Johnson, do you think they'll win 110 or more, 105 to 109, 100 to 104, or under 100 games? Because, look, we've all learned this lesson a lot of times, so everybody out there saying that the Dodgers can't be beat, that's simply not the case. The Dodgers have been an excellent team until it comes down to the playoffs, and then they haven't been able to get it done. When the playoffs start, the season starts over at that point, and everybody starts on the same level playing field. And the thing is, if you're not there to win those playoff games, it doesn't matter who you pay for, it doesn't matter who you put on your team, but there is no doubt that the Dodgers are making every active measure possible to win. Also, I'd like to point out that Japan, okay, is a huge market for MLB. They are now, Japan is Dodgersville. Everybody in Japan is now a fan of the Dodgers. I've already seen all kinds of merchandise being bought. People in Japan are eating it up, of course. Now, Ohtani's contract, right? Agreed to play for the Dodgers for a decade at $70 million per season. But from this coming season all the way to 2033, he's only making $2 million per year, and he's deferring the $680 million. And there's a lot of questions about how is this going to affect how much taxes he pays to California.
Kleino's here.
Bobby's back. Great to see you, Bobby Kleinow. I just can't tell you, it warms my heart to see you and your family. It's just precious. I can't get enough of it when I wake up in the morning and I see your little daughters and Noah too. Everybody in your family has great smiles. You're just great. I just really think you brighten my day. So good morning to Bobby, Crystal, Noah, and Shay, the wonderful Kleinow family. Now, when Ohtani receives the bulk of the money, he'll no longer be under contract with the Dodgers, and the experts say that the structure of the contract appears likely to save Ohtani between $90 and $100 million in state taxes as long as he lives outside of California when the deferred money is paid out. There's another key component in this tax savings. The way that he's timed the deferral payments, it spans 1 decade. There's a 1996 federal law that forbids states from taxing retirement income on out-of-state residents when payments are made in substantially equal periodic amounts over at least 10 years. According to this tax specialist in The Athletic, he says if you meet a certain criteria, which I believe his contract will meet, then those $68 million annualized payments that occur after the first 10 years, they kind of fall into this quirky little exception where if he's not residing in California at the time, they would not be subject to a California tax. Okay? This is the thing. I mean, we're talking $100 million in taxes. If he was able to do this right, which even if he is, you know these vultures in California aren't going to let him get away with skipping out on $100 million in taxes. They're going to fight like crazy to get him to pay that money. Believe me, he's not going to get off those taxes scot-free. You got a state in California that's $68 million in debt. You think they're going to just allow somebody to get away with $100 million and, not unpaid taxes, because technically there's a lot of thought put into this contract. I give them all the credit in the world. I'm a huge, this past year, nothing could get me to be a fan of the Dodgers. And a big part of that was the Bauer thing. Also some of the days that they put on that they're celebrating, I just do not agree with at all. So I absolutely began to dislike the Dodgers and rooted against them every chance I get. But honestly, at this point, how can I be ashamed to wear Dodger blue? You know what I mean? Like, they're doing it. They have figured this out. And just because they were the first team to figure it out doesn't mean they're going to be the last. But I give them all the credit in the world because the day that they decided to go all in on Ohtani was the day that they decided to do whatever it takes to put together the best team. Not only was Ohtani willing to defer the money, but he actually was the guy that brought it up at the table. Andrew Friedman said there's no way I would have brought that up to Ohtani. So Ohtani's agent and Ohtani, give them all the credit. Once they got Ohtani, it was all in for them. They used Ohtani to get Yamamoto. There's no doubt about it. Yamamoto is also going to save about $7.2 million in California taxes and $1.3 million in federal income tax with his $50 million signing bonus in 2024. The opt-outs for Yamamoto are after the 2029 and 2031 seasons. The Dodgers were not going to give an opt-out any earlier in his 12-year contract, considering the $50 million signing bonus and $50 million posting fee. And again, Ohtani, people say, he's only going to make $2 million a year. And I mean, for us normal guys, $2 million a year would be excellent. But he makes $50 million a year in sponsorships and promotions and stuff. So there's just, this was a no-brainer in my opinion. I don't know why more people haven't done this. It's basically just setting yourself up a retirement account early in your life, right? Okay, so here we go with Lourdes Gurriel. Now, I know I don't even really have any numbers on Lourdes Gurriel, but Codified Baseball the other day asked the question, who is the criminally underrated baseball player? And the first person that came to mind was Lourdes Gurriel. 24 home runs last year, 261 batting average, 82 RBIs, 65 runs scored, and 5 stolen bases. Okay, but here's the kicker. This guy, I know he's hurt by playing in Arizona. It's not a hitter's park by any means, but his move from the Blue Jays to Arizona gave him the opportunity to get in the lineup every day and not the bottom of the lineup. He's actually able to use his skills and get plenty of at-bats. In fact, this past year, he had a career high, played 145 games, 592 plate appearances, 24 home runs is going to be about what you're going to get out of this guy. But here's the thing. He came in last year with a 265 ground ball batting average on balls in play and finished the season with a ground ball batting average on balls in play at 202, which is way lower than what we should expect from Lourdes Gurriel. The point is, ADP right now, 225. 225. Forget about it. This guy is absolutely worth it. He plays defense excellent, which will continue to get him in the lineup every single day. His defensive run save, 14 in 95 games. Now, I know, okay, you don't have to tell me fantasy baseball doesn't care about defense, but it does care about getting the player in the lineup and where he's going to hit in the lineup. So, once again, criminally underrated so far in ADP. Now, I know when I go to draft against all of you chat room people, you're going to steal Lourdes Gurriel from me, and that's okay, because Lenny and I have accepted it. We're here to help you before we're here to help ourselves. And Lourdes Gurriel at 225, you better hop on it. Laura, great to see you. I was questioning where you were today, my friend, and say hello to Mary. King Hap. Okay, we got a gift from King Hap in the mail. We haven't opened it yet. We're going to open it tomorrow for Christmas, but I'm sure you'll be getting a phone call to thank you for the swag that you're sending us. You can't get better than the Happy Hour Social Club swag, okay? Tommy Johnson says he thinks the $325 million for Yamamoto is outrageous. He hasn't pitched in a single MLB game. Keep that in mind. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about his ADP, because you want to talk about outrageous. This guy's ADP is outrageous, okay, so far. Now, Chris, this one's for you. The question is, are the New York Yankees a playoff team right now, and would they have been a playoff team with the addition of Yamamoto? My answer to that is no. I understand Yankees fans are pissed, and they are pissed, by the way. There's a great tweet on here. I mean, it's X now, but the actual account is from Yankees Twitter. And the guy was like, I mean, he says Montgomery, he doesn't like Montgomery, he thinks Montgomery's just a crappy pitcher, blah, blah, blah. And then someone was able to put up all of these posts that this Yankees Twitter said over the past year or two on Montgomery, probably since they traded him away. And the next thing you know, Yankees Twitter knows that Montgomery and Snell are the next best things available, so now they're all in for it. Leave it to the Yankees fans. I get it, right? I get it, okay? But Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, Nestor Cortez, who's injured. You got Clark Schmidt. It's just not a good pitching squad at all. Holmes is their closer. They need more than Yamamoto to get this thing done. Even though, I'll give them credit, they signed Soto, but now that they signed Soto, they are in a spot where they have got to make a move. They cannot leave their team the way that it is, and they have to pounce, just like the Mets have to pounce, which we'll be talking about soon. Chris makes the comment, she's ready for Corbin Burnes to come on over, and that has been mentioned a lot on X too. So, all right. Danny Fuller from California, our pesky Dodgers friend here. He says that California is very creative with taxes. He's lived there 63 years, and he's been in business since 1998. It's not as bad as the vultures say. I don't know. You can compare California to New York all day, every day of the year. They're both horrible places to live, and we're both stuck there. So, welcome to the club, Danny Fuller. Tito Luna, another California guy. And say hi to Jeter, please. And yes, Kershaw is likely to come back, if healthy, to the Dodgers. Now, free agent Shelby Miller signs a deal with the Detroit Tiger. He's 33 years old, probably not even relevant to fantasy-minded people. He did pitch for the Dodgers last season. I would say this. Shelby Miller is clearly a better reliever than he was a starting pitcher. You might get a couple of saves, a couple of wins from this guy. This guy can pitch more than one inning. Clearly can't be a starter, so he can pitch between 1 and 4 innings, right? Well, he did actually sneaky good last year. 1.71 ERA and a .91 whip with 42 strikeouts and 19 walks in 42 innings. That's because he's a bullpen guy. So, if your league is deep enough, I only bring him up just because the Detroit Tigers signed him 1 year. He will be used in high leverage spots, meaning his chances of getting a save or a win will be raised because these high leverage spots are always when the game is on the line. He can pitch more than 1 inning. So, these are sneaky guys to keep in the back of your mind for fantasy purposes, but obviously not a big fantasy pitcher. Let's talk about Cody Senga first. Cody Senga. How many of you believe... Okay, wait, let me rephrase this. Would you draft Cody Senga above Yamamoto? Okay? Because here's the biggest surprise of all. Cody Senga ranks overall 60, okay? His ADP currently stands at 75 overall. I want you to know that Yamamoto, who has never pitched a day in the United States, he has never thrown an MLB baseball, he is ranked 45th overall and 68 in dynasty leagues. Go to look at 75 is the ADP, okay? First of all, there's three different ranks that RotoWire uses. They use ADP, overall rank, and dynasty rank. Cody Senga, 75 ADP, 60 overall, 87 dynasty. Yamamoto doesn't have an ADP yet, but he's ranking above Cody Senga, 45th overall, and 68th in dynasty. Give me a freaking break on this one. Now look, I'll give you a little leeway with the age difference here in the dynasty rankings because Cody Senga is 30 and Yamamoto is 25. So let's forget about the dynasty rankings. I'll give them that. But to put Yamamoto overall higher ranking... Now, this is not ADP. This is overall, okay? This means that these are ranks based on how good these players are. ADP is based on where the person is being drafted. It's completely different things. But let's narrow this down to the overall ranks of Cody Senga going 60 overall with Yamamoto being ranked 45th. It's highway robbery is what's going on here. Cody Senga, 59.5% whiff rate on swings against his ghost fork pitch this past season. It's the highest for any starter against a single pitch type in a season since the pitch tracking era started. And you can thank Mrs. Sarah Langs for that. Or Miss. I should call her Miss. I don't know. Ms. I don't know if she's married or not. Either way, Sarah Langs rules. She always comes out with great stuff. And I will tell you, it is highway robbery to even think and consider putting Yamamoto above Cody Senga. It's so stupid. Forgive me. I know I'm being rude, but... give me a freaking break here. Common sense at play. Luis Robert. Let's talk about him. Lenny's favorite player, Luis Robert. What do you think? He finished the season with another injury. He's going to be out until February 1st, which is plenty of time for spring training, supposedly. But do not forget that between 2021 and 2022, Luis Robert only played in 145 games combined. Wait a minute. Take that back. He missed nearly half of the it's basically what I said. It's basically about 150 games in those two seasons combined. Last year, though, he did play in 145 games, and that easily crushed his career high of 98 games played in a season. He had 38 homers, 20 steals, 264 batting average, a great, phenomenal 315 on base percentage. And it's all supported by all that huge power that he has. But here's the thing, hear me out. You're going to draft Luis Robert, ADP 26. Now, last year, Luis Robert was going right around there, or maybe even a little bit earlier. I know Lenny drafted him all over the place. What do we think he's going to do next year on a team that is... Last year, entering the season, the White Sox had a lot more hope than they do right now entering the season. RotoWire projects him to hit another 31 homers, 83 RBIs, 88 runs, and 19 stolen bases. This is a 5-tool player. They expect his batting average to jump from 264 to 276. There's no question as to whether or not this guy is a 5-tool player. He is. Is he going to be healthy? That's the question. ADP 26. That's putting a lot of faith in this guy to stay healthy again. And really, what's going to happen if he's the only good hitter in the lineup? Nobody's ever going to pitch to him, and you're going to lose stats over that. So think about that. Now, Jonathan Papelbon, okay? I have a lot to say about Jonathan Papelbon, but he really crushed Verdugo's work ethic. I've never heard this before, but I will say this, King Hap. Look, King Hap admitted to me that he never liked Verdugo because the Red Sox traded away the wonderful Mookie Betts, and what they got back was Verdugo, which is never going to be good with the Red Sox fans. And that's all I thought it was based on. But Verdugo, for some reason, has yet to live up to what we expected from him earlier in his career. He has yet to do it. Either his back hurts him, or this is bad, or he's out injured. He just has not, he just hasn't lived up to what we thought he would be, what I thought he would be. Jonathan Papelbon, the biggest B word in town, comes out and he calls Verdugo a B word. Okay? He also says that Verdugo is late, lazy, and unproductive, and if he played for Alex Cora, he's drilling this B. What do you think of Papelbon coming out and saying this? Mitchell Hartson's here. Great to see everybody. Eddie Heckman, good to see you. Yes, Verdugo has a lot to prove. That's coming from Chris, Yankees fan. Eddie wants to know how Lenny's doing. He's doing great. Also, another guy that thinks that baseball is ruined, Josh Reddick, okay? He comes out and he says baseball is ruined. So here's a comment from just a normal baseball fan on X. He says, this guy watched his entire team cheat baseball for a whole season and wants to cry that baseball is ruined because of a contract. I agree 100%. Here's another post from the great Sarah Langs. Rafael Devers' 330 homer seasons are tied for the most by any player in Red Sox history. Through his age 26 campaign, he's tied with Jim Rice and Ted Williams. That's pretty good stuff there, Sarah. All right. Papelbon is right, according to King Turd. All right. Adley Rutschman, let's talk about him. He's the first catcher in MLB history with at least a 125 OPS plus in each of the first two seasons of his career. Of course, he's being compared to other first two seasons with a minimum of 400 plate appearances in each season. 25-year-old Adley Rutschman, of course, Eddie knows him very well. Finished the season last year with a 277 average, 20 home runs. His RBIs and his runs are important to look at. These are great. 80 RBIs, 84 runs scored, 1 stolen base. He Finished last season as the 8th most valuable fantasy catcher and the only catcher who could claim at least 20 homers, 80 plus RBIs, as well as 80 plus runs on their resume. The configuration of Oriole Park, of Camden Yards, is such that it hurts Adley's power, okay? Now, that's not going away. So why, oh why, is the ADP for Adley Rutschman 50? That's quite early for a catcher, don't you think? I mean, especially since he's not getting out of Camden. That's his home. And the configuration of the park makes it very difficult for him to ever really live up to his full power potential. But look at the rest of the catchers. It's not like it used to be with the big old drought at catcher. This guy is good, absolutely. But when it comes to fantasy, and you're willing to draft this guy 50th overall when you should be getting a pitcher at that point, that's just my opinion. I just think it's a wasted pick in fantasy because he's going too high. That's my opinion. I'm sure that Eddie will disagree with me, absolutely. And I assume that a lot of other people will also, because one thing I will say about Rutschman, when he's not playing catcher, and a lot of times you'll see these catchers, they're not going to get full at-bats. You'll never see them get 500 at-bats because they get rested. Teams are no longer putting in one catcher every day of the year and expecting them to stay healthy. Usually, they split time with another catcher. Now, if a catcher is good enough, they could either play in the outfield or another position, or they could be used as the designated hitter. And Adley Rutschman did play 46 games at DH, and this guy will get a full season of at-bats, and it's because his bat is good enough to where they will get him in the lineup, whether it means putting him in as DH or as catcher. My opinion, 50 ADP, it's too early for a catcher. What do you guys think? And his OBP is on base percentage. I don't see that in front of me. I'm sure it's great. King Turd says it's great. I believe that 100% that it's great. J.R. Matz pulled an Adley rookie card yesterday. We love it. The Mets' 2024 payroll is still $8 million higher than the Los Angeles Dodgers, $296 million versus $288 million. Let that sink in. All right, now, Laura, here we go. We're talking about the Mets. What are the Mets going to do now that they missed out on Yamamoto? Obviously, both New York teams feel that they missed out on Yamamoto, but right now we're going to focus on the Mets. They did go to great lengths, okay, to get Yamamoto. They flew to Japan. Steve Cohen and his wife had him and 8 other guys over to their house for dinner. Okay, the Mets also offered Yamamoto $325 million over 12 years, which the Los Angeles Dodgers matched. And the thing is, there's no way you're going to get Yamamoto, dude, over the Dodgers, who are clearly the winning team of the offseason. You know, you can't for sure say that a team is going to win the World Series because they spent $1 billion on 2 players. But the chances sure do go up, right? Yamamoto. Now, the Mets have acquired some of the necessary ingredients. They have an owner who cares and is willing to spend big money. An executive in Stearns in charge, which this guy is viewed by his peers as one of the game's best. Okay? They have expensive player development resources. They have an improving farm system. They still have some strong core players, but they need to consistently win on the field, and that takes time. So under Cohen, they will likely remain near the top of the payroll rankings for years to come. However, unlike the last couple of years, the Mets are not expected to heavily pursue every premier free agent. executives like Stearns don't view that path as sustainable strategy because the contracts typically look worse over time and as the money piles up, and that is absolutely true. You look at the Dodgers payroll for the year 2040 and it's absurd, okay, at this point. Now, the expectation is that the Mets do plan to put together a roster that's able to compete for the playoffs. They will not simply pivot to the next best available starting pitchers. They have a huge reluctance to trade prospects for players with little team control remaining, and there aren't many options left out there, okay, for the Mets. So, will they consider engaging the White Sox on Dylan Cease, or will they talk to the Astros about Framber Valdez? Ken Rosenthal reported that Framber might be available. Now, this would only happen if they view 2 years of team control sufficient, or they could look into Snell and Montgomery, but we don't think that's going to happen. What do you think, my fellow Met fans out there? Laura? She says, rebuild. Yamamoto was about today and the future because of his age, and that is true, absolutely. The Mets got the casino. Is that true, Laura? Did the Mets get the okay for the casino? Actually, it's Steve Cohen building the casino. It's not going to be a Mets casino, but it is going to be right next to the ballpark, which, how fun is that? How fun is that? Here's the plan. You go there early, you park at the casino, right? You go there for breakfast, you spend all day gambling, and then you walk over to the ballpark and enjoy yourself a Mets game, okay? The only thing that would make that any better is if they sign Trevor Bauer, okay? I'll be going there then, for sure. All right, the Mets did get Adrian Hauser, who I thought was going to be better than he is. I have to say, this guy did not live up to expectations at all. Giolito may end up commanding a deal beyond the Mets' preferred range. I want to hear from the Mets fans. We aren't sure if the casino was approved, but she said the plans do look great. SM King Turd says that someone is about to get way overpaid by the Mets. I'm not sure about that. That's what we're talking about right now. If they do go ahead and say we're going to take the next pitcher available, that's Blake Snell. All right? Montgomery is next after that. As far as I'm concerned, if you're going in on Blake Snell, you might as well grab Montgomery too, right? I mean, it's not a matter of money with the Mets, but they do have a new executive guy in Stearns, and, it is going to depend on what he wants to do. There's no doubt that they were in on Yamamoto. Now, what about a veteran guy like Hyun-Jin Ryu, right? He could make sense for the Mets, but again, we're talking a very short-term option here. They could give him a chance to bounce back, but they're not going to sign him for any kind of long-term situation. But Montgomery and Snell, these two, their price went up substantially. The whole market has shifted in baseball. Nobody even knows what to guess, okay, for the ballpark of the amount of money that Snell and Montgomery are going to get. The Dodgers changed the market forever, and whether it's a good or bad thing, it is a thing. And these players, these teams, look, you don't like what the Dodgers did, then go spend some money and do the same thing, okay? It's just the beginning of this for everybody. What about Brandon Woodruff? Yeah, it pretty much sucks. It pretty much sucks, but listen, Brandon Woodruff and Eric Lauer, these are former Brewers, okay? Also, Hauser was a former Brewers, and Tyrone Taylor also, okay? I just want to say that Woodruff and Lauer, they have some potential, right? But Woodruff, Lauer, they're not healthy guys. I don't know. What do you think? Woodruff and Lauer, add that to Hauser and Tyrone Taylor, right? Danny Fuller says that Snell ends up with the Mets. Turd says Snell is a lock for Boston or the Mets. Montgomery could go to Boston, Yankees, Mets, or St. Louis. I still hope the Texas Rangers sign Montgomery. Yeah, that would be great fun, right? Casino before and after baseball, right? Okay. So much fun. Yeah, it would probably cost about $2,000. But what if you won big? There's a chance of that, right? What if you won big at the casino? Then you get to go for steak dinner, too. How fun. All right. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. I hope everybody's just enjoying their holidays, staying warm, and it's just been a pleasure doing this baseball podcast for you this morning. Fantasy baseball has already started. We are in full throttle mode. Follow me on X, Roto Lady.
We'll be here tomorrow.
We'll be here tomorrow. Lady and the Legend, don't be late. Have a great day.